Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I've got something new for the series, a double feature. I was going to have these characters be 2 consecutive episodes, but the more I thought about them, the more I realized they should A, both be in the same video, and B, both go to the same person. So the auction for this video will be an auction for 2 characters for the first time. Why am I so certain they need to go together? Well, Delta and Horizon are married. So, of course, they've got to be a package deal. So, to start off, I've got a Mudwing Seawing girl named Delta. In my opinion, Seawings and Mudwings have the shortest, bulkiest body types. I mostly see Seawings as short and muscular, and Mudwings I think can range in height, but I think they definitely can be pretty short. So combining the 2 is fun because I get to draw this low, broad body type that's really thick and muscular versus the taller, more willowy forms I usually work with. So Delta has lived an interesting life. She's not one of those hybrids who can blend in and live a normal life. And unfortunately for her, she was born before the war, so her life hasn't taken place during the more hybrid-friendly post-war era. From a young age, Delta was scorned. Her mother was a Mudwing, presumably, but Delta's never met her. She was born in the swamp like most Mudwing dragonettes, but unlike everyone else, she didn't wake up with a group of siblings. She hatched alone, and that ended up being an accurate prediction for the rest of her life. Thanks to her obviously mixed heritage, as a young dragonette, Delta had very few friends. Growing up, enduring the cruelty of other dragonettes and even adults in her tribe, Delta had to learn to take care of herself. She's a tough fighter after years of scrapping and struggling. When she was younger, Delta wanted desperately for her tribe to accept her. By the time she decided to leave them, she'd given up that dream. When she was 6, a group of Mudwing dragonettes ganged up on her in a fight that left her pretty severely injured. Despite her lifelong isolation, Delta was still very sensitive to the constant rejection of others. When none of the adult Mudwings had anything to say about this, Delta decided to strike out on her own. She bounced around between multi-tribe cities and villages for a few months, never really sticking anywhere until she met another hybrid, a Sandwing Skywing named Horizon. Horizon is a Sandwing Skywing hybrid who grew up in a small village on the border of their 2 kingdoms. Much like Delta, he doesn't blend in very well with either of his tribes. Growing up with his father in their Skywing village was hard. The Skywings don't tolerate anyone different in their tribe, and Horizon's mixed heritage was seen as an embarrassment for their village. As Horizon grew older and the village grew more and more unwelcoming towards him and his father in turn grew more distant towards Horizon. Even though his parentage wasn't something Horizon chose, his father came to blame his dragonette for all his troubles. If Horizon had only been born different, he could pretend to be a real Skywing, and life would be so much easier. Horizon and his father had never been particularly close, but their relationship only grew colder as the years progressed. Horizon began spending more time out of the house, exploring the towns nearby. However, the Skywing sense of tribal superiority wasn't just in Horizon's home village. He stood out wherever he went, and paid for it. He learned to develop a fast tongue and smooth words, often talking himself out of awkward situations. Horizon hoped that if he could just be clever enough, or funny enough, dragons would look past the superficial coloring of his scales. It didn't often work. But that wasn't the only skill Horizon honed, because talking his way out of trouble was only one aspect of his true love, and that was breaking puzzles. To Horizon, a tricky conversation was a puzzle. What subtle joke would get a surprised laugh? What flash of a smile would distract long enough to change the subject? But for him, his favorite type of puzzle to figure out was how to steal the unstealable. Horizon loved it. Sneaking into castles and dens, slipping into crowds to gather information with a golden tongue, drawing up careful plans. The adrenaline high of an excellently crafted plan going off without a hitch was unmatched for him. Small jobs, big jobs, it didn't matter. Horizon liked to find problems and break them down, figure them out, and execute them in real time. Horizon decided if he wanted to truly escape the Skywing Kingdom's culture, he needed to simply escape the Skywing Kingdom. He was convinced that if he could find a city big enough in the Sandwing Desert, he'd be able to blend in. Surely in the big towns there would be other dragons like him. And so one day he left. His father barely bothered to snap half-heartedly at him as he left, and Horizon flew for the distant desert. There were other hybrids, on occasion, in the big cities, but none like Horizon. He came to realize that all hybrids were different. It came with the territory. But he also learned something else in the big city. There was an endless amount of things to steal. In the streets, he learned to pickpocket, to slip packets of spiced meat from bags, to distract with a conversation while he palmed golden trinkets from market stalls. City life to Horizon was one huge puzzle. At heart, he was a problem solver, a risk taker. And now, he had endless opportunities to hone his craft and look for that adrenaline high. Delta fell in with Horizon by chance. They met in a market when he was being chased by a trio of sandwings. Delta had seen the other hybrid run by, and when the sandwings shouted into the crowd, asking if anyone had seen him, Delta set them down a different street. She'd been reminded of her own experience with the mudwings who'd attacked her, and hoped to save another hybrid from a similar fate. As it turned out, Horizon had stolen a small leather pouch containing a golden jewelry set of 4 bracelets. The sandwings chasing him had been trying to get it back. Delta had been a little disgruntled to learn she'd saved a thief and not a victim, but Horizon's smooth charm soon left her unworried about the save. Delta stuck with Horizon, and as they got to know each other, they quickly became close friends. Delta learned that Horizon was something of a career thief, and it wasn't long before she was working with him. The two of them travel between cities, leaving once the attention on them gets a little too hot, and for the first time in her life, Delta finally has a close friend. Someone who not only accepts her in spite of her mixed heritage, but loves her unique coloration and scattered glowing scales. Horizon's lifestyle is nothing like her own, but as time passes, she actually comes to enjoy their little heists. Something about the rush of pulling off yet another job, something about the excitement, the dependability of having a partner. More than anything, for the first time in her life, Delta felt like she had a friend who understood what it was like to be different. Up until meeting Horizon, Delta had always been lonely. Now she spends evenings curled up with him in taverns, poring over maps and scrawled notes, or mornings strolling the markets learning how to nick bracelets off passing dragons. At first, Delta didn't notice the flirting. Horizon flirted with everyone. He was a charmer, seemingly born with a tongue smoother than honey. He sweet-talked every dragon they came across, extroverted and finding any conversation easy. He steamrolled over any awkwardness during new meetings, pretending he didn't notice the looks sent his way. But as the weeks turned into months, and the compliments, teasing, and the little gifts continued, Delta realized it was more than his regular friendliness. Horizon was flirting with her, and maybe Delta was playing along. She did like Horizon. He was whip-smart, funny, and caring in his own ways. Nobody else, even other hybrids, had ever looked twice at Delta. But he couldn't seem to look away. All her life, Delta had kept her most cherished dream tucked close to her chest, unwilling to share it with dragons who didn't care about her. But finally she admitted to Horizon what she'd always wanted more than anything else. Dragonettes of her own, to raise and love the way she wished someone had loved her when she was little. In a way, sharing that dream was Delta's final test to make sure she could love Horizon. If he could share her dream, then she knew she could love him. And the rogue had winked at her, announcing that some dragonettes small enough to squeeze through smaller windows would be the perfect addition to their burgeoning empire of crime. Ridiculous. Delta loved this dragon. Horizon, who'd been snout at her claws in love with her from the moment she saved him from those 3 huge guards, couldn't be happier to finally have a partner. Delta loved his plans, and Horizon had never realized how much he ached for someone to confide in, someone to share his wins, until he met her. Now the best part of a heist was watching Delta's eyes widen when he proposed his newest scheme, preening under the impressed look she gave him when he did anything particularly clever. They'd been traveling together for months, setting up in a city, poking their noses anywhere and everywhere they could, and moving on when the attention got a little hot. For Horizon, this had been the happiest times of his life. He was doing what he loved, and for the first time he was doing it with someone who loved him. Something he'd never experienced before. Okay, so I am super in love with these two. They are so cute. I so wanted to keep them. Guys, you have no idea. But I also know myself, and I wouldn't draw them very often, maybe not ever. And I want them to go to someone who is as excited by their backstory as I am. I love it when characters are in love. And these two are in love. Delta is just a big sweetheart, and all the rejections he's experienced has been really hard on her. Horizon didn't even realize how much he's been wanting and missing out on some affection in his life. They're such a good match. Also, I love their individual personalities too. Delta's like this country girl who's starstruck in the big city. Then you have this slick rogue who's obsessed with breaking into anywhere other dragons think is impenetrable. And this rakish charmer falls right in love with someone totally oblivious. It's cute. I love it. Tell me in the comments because I want to know, is Delta or Horizon your favorite? And don't you think they're the cutest couple? Trick question. I know you think so. Anyways, like I said, the character auction for this video is going to be a double, since I really think these guys needed to stay together, what with their epic backstory. So if you're interested in making a bid on either of them, feel free to follow the link in the description. I love their story, and I think they're so fun. If you enjoyed this Let's Design, I do have others. I'm working my way through all the hybrids, hopefully, so I'm plugging away. I knocked out 2 slots with this video, so that's kind of nice. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video. Thank you all for watching, and please have a blessed day.